Hi, Foundations friends. I thought today maybe we could review a lesson that we had done before. Um, this is the lesson about what to do when you're feeling angry. So I know that many of you have did this lesson at school while school was still in session, but I thought it'd be a nice one to review now that we're at home. So let's see what the plan is for today. First of all, let's make this full screen. There we go. So here's the plan for today. We are going to review the signs that we've been practicing that go along with our social language skills. We're going to learn the skills that we need to behave in an appropriate way and handle our anger. We're going to read a couple of stories, and we are going to practice those skills. That's the plan. Let's get to it. The signs. So one of the first signs that we learned that are associated with these skills is friend. Remember, we make two hooks with our fingers, friend. These skills help us to be a good friend. Responsible. We want to be responsible at home and at school. Responsible. School. We miss school, don't we? School. Our feelings. Feelings. All right, when we feel angry, here are the things that it is important to do. The first thing we want to do is we want to stop and calm down. Okay? And there's some ways that we can do that, right? We can take some deep breaths. We can go for a little walk. We can just go spend some time by ourselves. Sometimes that helps us to calm down. The second thing we want to do is we want to think of some choices. Sometimes it's helpful to tell the person why you're angry. If you're angry at someone, sometimes it's helpful to tell them why you're angry. You can leave for a while. You can do something that is relaxing to you, something that helps you to feel calm, or you can talk to an adult. Okay, those are some good choices. And once you've thought of all the choices, think of the one that's the best. What's the best choice? And do that one, okay? So we've done our signs and we've talked about the skills associated with this. The next thing we're going to do is read a story. So we're going to read this story, and then I have another story I'd like us to read. This story is called When You're Angry. Jackson put his lunchbox on a table in the lunchroom and sat at his regular spot between Marcus and Maria. The children opened their lunchboxes and put their sandwiches and fruit in front of them. Jackson's mouth watered as he opened his thermos. That means that his mouth was filling up with water because everything looked and smelled so good. I'm having apple juice today, not milk, he told Maria. I'm so thirsty. Before Jackson could take a sip, however, he heard Marcus howling with laughter. Marcus, who was talking to Zara, quickly turned toward Jackson to share why he was laughing. For the second day in a row, Marcus had accidentally knocked over Jackson's thermos. Remember, he said that he had brought apple juice, and he was really excited about that and thirsty. Jackson grabbed for his thermos, but it was too late. He watched the apple juice from his thermos soak his sandwich. So he not only lost his apple juice, but his sandwich got soaked with apple juice. Yuck. What a mess. Jackson wasn't happy about Marcus's accident. Jackson could feel his face getting hot with anger. Do you know how that feels when you get angry and your face gets hot? And maybe your heart starts to beat fast, and maybe you clench up your fists like this? That's your body telling you you're angry. Jackson was so mad at Marcus. He shouted, Marcus, you're a rotten friend. Next time I'll spill your milk all over your food and you can eat a soggy sandwich. Marcus shouted back, Jackson, it was an accident. What's the big deal? So Jackson was really angry. And then he shouted at his friend Marcus, and that kind of made Marcus angry too. All right, so in this story, what's the first thing we need to do when we feel those things? So he said his face got hot, and we talked about sometimes our heart can start beating, and maybe we clench up our fists. When we feel that we are angry, we need to stop and find a way to calm down, right? We need to think of our choices, okay? We can tell the person why we're angry. And in the story, he did that, right? He said why he was angry, but he didn't do it in the best way. He kind of called his friend a name, which isn't very nice, and he yelled at him. So maybe if we want to tell the person why we're angry, we need to wait until we're calm to do that, so we don't upset the other person too. The second thing we can do is leave for a while. In that story, the friends were at lunch together, and maybe it's usually not okay for us to get up and leave during lunch, right? Usually we need to have a teacher or a grown-up's permission for that. Relax. Do something that calms you. So if you're sitting at the lunch table and you can't get up and walk away, maybe you can close your eyes. You can take some deep breaths, right? Some of us have learned about that 5-finger breathing, that when we go up, we inhale. And when we go down, we exhale. So doing some 5-finger breathing might help, right? Or talk to an adult. Maybe if your friend knocked something over on purpose, you could raise your hand and say, hey, this person's not being a good friend and I'm upset, and maybe a grown-up could help you with that. So when you've thought of all those things, then you should just try your best choice to help you not feel angry, okay? I have another story about being angry. In this story, they use the word grumpy. Grumpy and angry are similar, but I like this story because in the story, they talk about how this story is about a monkey, and it talks about how his body looks when he's angry, the ways that they can tell that he's angry, his friends, by looking at him. So I want to read you guys that story, and I want you to listen for those things, okay? All right, we're going to read a book called Grumpy Monkey by Suzanne Lang, okay? And while we're reading this, let's think about how he feels. It's going to talk about what he's feeling, like in his body, how his body feels. And let's think about that, how that can help us. Okay. Ooh. One wonderful day, Jim Pansy, woke up to discover that nothing was right. And there he is right there. There's Jim Pansy. The sun was too bright, the sky was too blue, and the bananas were too sweet. Jim was confused. What's going on? Maybe you're grumpy, suggested Norman from next door. I'm not grumpy, Jim insisted. On his walk, he met Marabou. Jim's grumpy, Norman told Marabou. Why are you grumpy, Jim? Asked Marabou. It's such a wonderful day. Grumpy? Me? I'm not grumpy, said Jim. But look how you're standing, Marabou said. It's true, said Norman. You're all hunched. This is hunched. So Jim loosened up. Then he ran into Lemur. Jim's grumpy, Norman told Lemur. Why are you grumpy, Jim? Asked Lemur. It's such a wonderful day. Grumpy? Me? I'm not grumpy, said Jim. Your eyebrows look grumpy, said Lemur. It's true, said Norman. They're all bunched up. Can you bunch up your eyebrows? How does that change the way that we look when we go? So Jim raised his eyebrows. Then he tripped over Snake. Oh no, said Norman. That's the last thing you need when you're feeling grumpy. Grumpy? Me? I'm not grumpy, said Jim. There's the snake that he tripped over. Then why that frown, said Snake. I think it's because he tripped over you, Norman whispered to Snake. So Jim put on a smile. So he had a frown. Then he put on a smile. He's trying not to feel grumpy. There he is down in the corner. Finally, Jim looked happy, so his shoulders are back. He put his eyebrows up, and he put a big grin on. Does he look happy? Let's look. And it says, but he didn't feel happy inside. Everyone wanted Jim to enjoy this wonderful day. You should sing with us, said the birds. Jim didn't feel like singing. You should swing with us, said the monkeys. Jim didn't feel like swinging. Here's the birds. Here's Jim. He does not look like he's very happy about that. And there's the monkeys swinging, and here's Jim. Not looking very happy. Let's see. You should roll with us, said the zebras. Jim didn't feel like rolling. You should stroll with us, said the peacocks. Jim didn't feel like strolling. Here they are rolling, and here they are strolling. Strolling is another word for walking. Walk and stroll are synonyms. They are words that mean the same thing. You should lie in the grass. You should stomp your feet. Lying in the grass, stomping feet, and if you look at Jim, he doesn't look too happy to do any of those things. You should take a bath and make a splash. You should hug someone. You should laugh. You should take a nap. You should eat old meat or some honey. You should jump up and down. You should sit in the sun. You should dance. All of his friends have suggestions for what he should do to feel better. But Jim didn't feel like doing any of that. Why are you grumpy, Jim? Asked the others. It's such a wonderful day. I'm not grumpy, shouted Jim as he beat his chest. I don't know, Jim. And he stormed off. Think about that word stormed. What does that mean when we storm off? Does that mean that rain and lightning starts coming down on us when we storm off? No. Storm also it's a word with two meanings. It's a multiple meaning word. It can mean that thunder and lightning, but here it means to walk away while you stomp your feet. It's something you usually do when you're angry or grumpy. Seems like Jim might be grumpy. Jim felt sorry. A little sorry for shouting at everyone, but mostly sorry for himself. I guess I am grumpy, Jim sighed. And just as he was starting to feel really, really sad, okay, let me show you the picture. There he is. He came upon his friend Norman. Norman was slumped. That means to be like this. His eyebrows were bunched up. Remember we talked about that? And he was frowning. What's the matter? Jim asked. Are you grumpy? And here's Norman over here. He says, no, I danced with Porcupine, said Norman. Look at what's happening there. A porcupine is an animal that has needles, like pokey spines sticking out of their skin. And so sometimes if you get too close to one, you might get poked, and it looks like that's what happened to Norman. Are you okay? Asked Jim. It hurts, but I'll probably feel better soon enough, said Norman. Are you still grumpy? Yes, said Jim, but I'll probably feel better soon enough too. For now, I just need to be grumpy. It's a wonderful day to be grumpy, said Jim. And Norm agreed. And he felt better already. The end. Did you guys enjoy that story? Did you notice the things that the body language, the way that their bodies talked that told people that they weren't feeling very happy? The hunched shoulders and the eyebrows and the frowny face and the stomping off, the stamping off. So sometimes our body can tell us how we're feeling. Maybe if we can't even think in our head how we're feeling, we can think about how our body is feeling. And when we get like that, there's things that we can do to calm ourselves down. And one of those things is 5-finger breathing. I'm going to show you guys a couple of videos of some students at School 53 who are demonstrating 5-finger breathing for us. They're going to tell us about something that made them angry, and then they're going to demonstrate that breathing for us, okay? So have a look at these videos.
So Caden, he was walking down the hallway until somebody stepped on his shoelace and he fell down and he was mad. Instead of being angry, I'm going to say that's not nice. Riley was almost done with her work and someone spilled glue all over it, and now she's really mad. Next time, can you be careful with the glue?
So sometimes when we're angry, there are things that we can do to calm our bodies down. And one of those things is to sometimes take some good deep breaths. So I hope that next time you're feeling a little angry, next time your shoulders are hunched and your brow is all furrowed and you're frowning and you're feeling a little angry and maybe your face is red, you'll think to yourself, I'm feeling angry. And you'll think of some things that you can do to calm down, like taking some nice deep breaths.